about the
Welcome to
SAMR
the
model
Future and Beyond
because its
podcast.
importance in
Let's chat
helping
about being
support
future
you
ready in the classroom.
in planning for
Are you
makerspace
ready
and
now?
other technology activities.
Oh, you
So,
better be
what is
ready.
SAMR? SAMR was created by Dr. Ruben Puentedora. It's a framework that puts classroom technology integration onto a scale of 4 categories. The letters stand for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. It was created to share common language across disciplines as teachers implement personalized learning in the classroom. I call it a scale because you can measure where your tech activity usage would fall on the SAMR model, and there really isn't a wrong place to be on the model. There's no one right category of SAMR. You'll find that you move through each one depending on the activity and the outcome you're wanting. So let's talk about each piece. Let's imagine we're in a pool of technology and we're in the shallow part. It's maybe up to our ankles. This would be substitution. And it's exactly what it says. It's substituting or changing paper for some technology. And that means what you could easily do on paper, you are now doing on technology. For example, students writing an opinion piece or a narrative piece on paper, you could now do on Google Docs, and that would be a substitution. Students doing a math problem on Seesaw instead of on paper is substitution. This is basic usage of technology. Here in substitution, you will find communication starting to happen. The students will be communicating with their teacher about their learning. This is a great starting place to be when feeling intimidated with tech in the classroom. This is also a great place to lean on your DLC for support to enter into that shallow end of the pool. The great thing about the SAMR model is that there's nothing wrong with coming back to substitution. Sometimes that's all that it is called for. And then going to the next one, augmentation is substitution with significant enhancement to the activity. We're starting to wade into the tech pool. We're maybe up to waist deep now. So think about that essay on Google Docs, and it can have interactive links or video embedded in it. Now we've enhanced it into augmentation. The math problem in Seesaw could add a recording piece for students to explain in their own words their thinking on how they solved the problem. And this would be another way to show augmentation is kind of taking it up that next step. And then another way is to gamify your quiz. You could use Time to Climb in Nearpod. And this is another great place to lean on your DLC to help you with Nearpod. And the great thing about augmentation is it begins to allow for some collaboration to happen. And of course, now there's even more communication happening on this level, along with critical thinking, is beginning because students have to think about how they will communicate their learning. And it allows for students to just say what they're thinking, which is sometimes a little bit easier than writing it out on paper. And so that's your augmentation piece. And so the next step is going further into that deep end of the pool. So we're truly swimming in technology now, and that would be in modification. We are actually rethinking and redesigning a lesson for the students. We are modifying our classroom to fit more into the future ready framework. The question to think about: does the technology significantly alter the learning task? Think about when a student is working in Seesaw and they showed their math and recorded their thinking. Now we can post it to the blog or to the journal in the classroom. And now the students can leave comments on each other's work and give feedback to each other. This is something that usually doesn't happen. We rarely have students working on a task that they turn into the teacher and also let students give feedback. So, using Seesaw in this way transforms the classroom. It allows for students ownership in their work, and it allows students to become active participants in each other's learning and their own learning. Another way is using an LMS, a learning management system like Google Classroom. The way it allows for students to be able to interact with each other transforms the classroom. The deeper you go into the deep end, the more future ready skills you're going to find. In modification, you can find creativity, communication, collaboration, critical thinking. All this is happening throughout the tasks given in this end of the pool. And so now to that last letter in SAMR, And this is where we're really immersed in the pool. We are diving deeper. We're going to the bottom of the pool. And this is where redefinition is happening. It's when a learning task is happening that previously would not have been possible without technology. This is where we can break down the four walls and have students communicating with students from across the world. You can connect through Flipgrid or Seesaw blog and have the students working on projects together. This is redefinition. This would not have been possible without the use of technology in the classroom. And it brings all the seeds you can think of and truly supports the framework for a future ready classroom. So, hopefully, this has brought some understanding to you about the SAMR model, and it's a great tool to know and be able to reference when you're planning. In the resources, I'm also including a technology planning document, and part of it is examining the SAMR model and where your activity lands in that model. And that can be helpful whenever you're planning those maker spaces or any activities involving technology. But I also want to, before we go, is just kind of dive into taking an activity and going down the SAMR model. So let's think about a piece of writing that we want the students to do. They're doing their research. And so they have, instead of doing it on paper, they're going to do this research and have a presentation on a Google slide. Okay, well, now we're at substitution. But now the student can add some interactive links and some videos for their students, their classmates to be able to see. Now this takes it to augmentation. Next, the student could present this on Seesaw. They could record themselves talking through the presentation and uploading that into Seesaw. And so when this happens, it will allow for their classmates to be able to comment and give feedback and be able to share what they learned from that presentation with the owner. And so this becomes modification happening in the classroom. So we're really starting to build that classroom community. And then finally, they're able to not just present to their class, but to a class across the country using the Seesaw blog. So they've broken down those four walls and are now learning and working with people outside of their classroom. That is redefinition. And you can see how you can take a simple learning task and transform the learning for the student by adding technology pieces that were previously not thought of. This is intentional behind there is intention behind each of these and why you would use one over the other. But don't get caught up with saying you need to be in redefinition every time. This is a scale that you can move in and out of. And the idea is to give students what they need using technology purposefully. This is a great topic to reach out to your DLC on your campus. And I look forward to hearing from you. So don't forget to fill out the Google form this week. And don't forget about the Future Ready Challenge. It's still live, and I'm looking forward to celebrating someone and being able to get them that Amazon gift card that's up for grabs. So, see you all next time, and thanks for joining us.
Ready, ready. Are you ready? I said, are you ready?